What's it like for you walking in the door here this year and knowing you guys have the kind of expectations from the outside that you're now dealing with?
Man, honestly, it's really, I don't want to say it's a lot, but it's a good amount of pressure. You know, everybody in here, all these are great athletes. Everybody's looking at us going like, all right, that's to see that we're kind of the team to be, and we're kind of like, that's the expectations. We just got to know we have to live up to it.
Internally, how do you guys deal with that? How, within the team dynamic, how is that day in, day out that you prepare to handle such expectations, or you just ignore them wholeheartedly?
Yeah, it's kind of ignored. Like we kind of go to it by the expectations. If you give your all, you get what you deserve. And that's all we do. We show the practice, show the lift, runs, everything. Just give it our all. It's never stopped. It's been the same since I got here. Before the expectations, it's the same now that we have them.
When did things start to click for you guys as a team last year?
Honestly, I want to say it was the LSU game. It was pretty early on in the season. But if we're not talking games, it was probably during fall camp because everyone's going through the same things. Everybody's like really mad. And one day we just all got like really into it. Like everybody's like real heat. And I'm like, it's passionate. It's something you don't really get anywhere else. And we all just like kind of meshed together real well.
What ticked people off?
It was me. I was going back and forth with the offense and the offensive line. I don't remember who it was. Somebody like took me for a ride, and they took me down the field. The whole offense started going crazy, and the defense is like, we had to respond. So I think we got a takeaway, and everybody's going crazy. Everybody's hyped up. The whole practice was just real heated. Everybody was going at it.
You had a good year last year, but do you feel like it wasn't what you really could be individually as a person?
Most definitely. You know, I was happy with the year I had. I gave my all. I didn't really leave anything left on the field, but I know there was tiny mistakes that I made that, given the chance to do it again, those won't happen again.
During this offseason, what is it that you in particular have worked upon to improve your game, to expand your game?
It's definitely been my get off, my hand fighting speed. You know, my strength was never a question, my speed was never a problem. I was just more focused on the technical things, aspects, stuff like that, reading plays, transitioning into plays differently, stuff like that.
Is that something that when you had the exit interviews before you made the decision to return last year that Coach JP or Coach Norvell spoke to you about? What were those conversations like as you were working towards making that decision on whether to stay or go?
One thing I do like about the coaches here, I actually had this conversation with Coach Norvell yesterday, is they talk a lot about the team more than anything. You know, during the exit meetings, we talked about the player a little bit, and then it was like, what do you think about the team? How do you think the team's doing? That's ultimately what's the most important thing. But we talked about that, but for me personally, he was just telling me, like, hand fighting. He told me how much I grew during the spring and everything like that.
What was Florida State like compared to your expectations? I'm sure when you got here, you had something in mind.
It was a lot more than what I expected. You know, I didn't know the fan base was. You always hear about like Florida State fans, but you don't know until you step like on campus what they're actually like, and they're intense, the best type though. But that's one of the biggest things. It was definitely like everyone being athletic. I'm not used to like linemen being able to do some crazy athletic things that they're able to do here.
When you look at the defense overall, like what kind of things have you guys been talking about that needs to improve?
Just us swarming, you know, like playing as one. Everyone will do their own individual plays. We have a lot of athletes on the team, so everybody's going to make their plays. But just playing as one, everybody playing within the defense is the most important thing.
A big focus of the spring was a new talent on the defensive line that joined the returning talent on the defensive line. What is that group like? How has the summer been in just learning one another and getting a better feel for one another? And what is that group capable of being when the lights come on?
So we've definitely done a lot more team, like position group events where we might go out to dinner, we might go do this or that just to get to know each other better. But with the guys we brought in, I don't think anyone can compete with our D-line. We're too deep. We got too much talent. Adding in Fisk, bringing back Fabo, me, Josh Farmer, Pat Payton, some of the guys that haven't even played yet that are going to play this season. I don't think anybody can mess with our D-line.
What does Braden Fisk bring to the fold?
That guy, he's one of the only people I've met that can match my intensity, like with no problem. Like being able to go into practice, hey, let's see if we can get to win this 5-yard race. Let's see who got this 10-yard one. He don't want to do 20. You know what happens when we go 20. But we do all these like just competing and everything we do. He lifts with me, we'll lift. I'm like, you want me to drop the weight for you? He's like, well, don't insult me like that. We'll do the same weight. Like I love Fisk, but I can't wait to see him on the field.
Are you? I think I'm the media guy. Has you like 260 now? Does that sound right?
It's pretty close. Yeah, I gained a little bit. I gained about like 6-7 pounds last season.
Really? Yeah. What? And this is just. I mean, do you feel stronger? What's it done for you?
I feel a lot stronger. And my biggest worry was losing speed, and that was not even close to a problem. Like I think I got acclimated to it very well, really quickly. But I gained a lot of strength. I got a little bit faster too, so I'm happy with what I gained.
What is it like working with Coach Storms and the strength and conditioning group, and what have they done specifically for you to help you continue to progress and mature physically?
Coach Storm, I love him. He always, whenever I text him, I'm like, "Hey, Coach, you gonna be in the weight room today?" "Yeah, I'm gonna be here this time. I'm gonna be here this time." Like, he comes in on his days off, me and him will get a lift in together. We'll talk heart to heart. But the biggest thing he's probably done for me, he's pushed me past what I can be able. Like, he'll see me run sometimes. He can tell I'm not getting my all. He's like, "That's what the best you got." And now, like, I feel like I gotta pick myself up. Like, I don't want to disappoint my coach. So Coach Storm he's one of the greatest people I've met here. Like, I love Coach Storm.
Chris was asking earlier about kind of the expectations for this team. Do you think you guys could be a playoff team?
I don't think there's any doubt in that. I think it's if we do what we're able to do, we compete the way we're able to compete, we play the way we're able to play as one. I don't think there's anyone that can stop us, but we got to be able to do those things, we have to execute.
What's it been like having in such a big game and a big month to start the season, like, in terms of preparation?
I'm excited for it, but we haven't changed the way we prepare for it at all. We've always prepared for everybody like they're the number one team in the country or they're the best team in like the century, whatever. Like we've always prepared for whatever. So we're going into it like it's any other game. We're not gonna like look at them like, oh, they're the worst team yet. Like we're gonna go there, we're gonna compete with them, we're gonna do what we have to do.
When you look at, you guys had some guys come in the spring, like Gilbert Edmond, and what have you seen from them since then? Like they got thrown into it in the spring, and now they've had an off season with you guys.
Oh, they definitely can like acclimate to the team very well, but like the growth they've had since they've been here, you see like these guys that came in doing one thing, now they're like doing what they were able to do and then doing it like tenfold. It's been really like awesome kind of watching that growth from a different perspective than my own.
And have you seen, like, Pat's going to go from being kind of a guy that nobody knew what to expect from to, rookie of the year in the conference? Like, how's he handling that?
Pat's, he's like, that's kind of how he is. Like, he doesn't really get it to his head or anything like that. He doesn't start getting hyped up or choked up or getting nervous or anything like that. And I'm excited to play with Pat. He's probably the most excited, he's probably the person I'm most excited to play with. I can't wait. I've been wanting to play with him for a while now. I really get to go out there, like, game after game, be right next to him. Because, like, our game's so close, but, like, it's so different at the same time.
How has this offseason, obviously last year you were adjusting to a new place and all that, but how has this offseason differed from last year, both for you individually and just the feelings around the team?
For me individually, I just have to work harder because now people know what I can do. People are going to look at me. Now I'm like, I got pushed past what I was able to do before. What I was doing before is cool. It was good. We got the job done, but I need to be better for what I want to do. As a team, it's been the same thing for everybody else. Like, everybody else has come in. They're working hard. They're trying to give their all. Nobody's slowing down. Like, I'm not going to slow down for anybody. You got to jump on and you got to jump off.
Transfer portal is obviously always a hot topic. You're a guy that's how you ended up here. What has that process been like for you? What was it like when you were being recruited by FSU versus what the reality of it was after you got there?
So when I first went to the transfer, I didn't know how it was going to be. I was like, I might get a couple. I think I'm going to have to hit up a couple coaches. It was about like 2 hours after I was in the portal. Coach Norvell calls me. I'm like, hello. He's like, this is the head coach of Florida State. I said, wait, what? Like, I'm all shocked. I'm like, what are you talking about? So it was really good. I love the process. I didn't get it out of high school. Everybody wanted me. Everybody wanted my attention and everything like that. So it was really cool. But then once I got here, it was exactly how Coach said it was going to be. Like, he didn't tell me he was going to give me a spot. There was no promises or anything like that. But he told me he'll give me the opportunity to earn one. That's what I love about Coach.
How do you stay focused and humble when, like, there's been reports that you might be one of the top picks in the draft next year? How do you stay grounded?
Because I remember what I was 2 years ago. I remember what I was a year ago. Like I was on nobody's radar. I wasn't the top 10 pick. I didn't have any, out of high school, I didn't have any stars. I was never that kid that was like, oh, everybody wants him besides when I went in the portal. So I just kind of remember that. Like that's probably my biggest driving factor because there's still always going to be that kid in me that nobody wanted. I'm still working for him to make him proud.
If you could give yourself some advice like a year ago, what you know now, what you'd like to have known going into 2022, what would you want to have known?
I'll probably say work harder. Like I never had a problem with work. I worked really hard. But if I worked even harder, I don't know where I'd be right now. I'd probably just tell myself work harder. Probably also take a deep breath because there was a lot of times when it was real stressful in the transfer portal. You didn't know what to do. I like started stressing myself out about it. But probably take a deep breath. Yeah, that's probably the one I'd go with.
You go against him every day, but Jordan Travis, what is the task for a defensive end trying to defend a guy like that who can beat you with his arm, but also obviously take off with his legs?
Jay Child just makes me mad. Like, he's frustrating to play with because, like, one day you might have it figured out, and the next day he's going to do something completely different that you've never seen before, and you're like, bro, where'd you even learn this? But the biggest task with him is probably just his quickness. Like, he's so quick, he can change speed, like, direction real quick. I can match his speed for speed, but when we go, like, who's quicker, I can't compete with the dude. Like, I'll be racing him laterally. I think I have him picked off, he'll stop. I stop. He'll go back outside. Now I'm stuck. Everybody on the sidelines like, oh. All right.
How'd you pick out your suit?
Well, I saw Jay Travis. No, I'm just kidding. I saw this. I was like, I like the little burgundy. I had black suit. I had a gray suit. I was like, I just thought that's a little different. And I don't know what Jay Travis got his idea from. He told me he was wearing gray or tan. I said, okay, I'm not going to go gray or tan. So, all right. I like it.
Do you have any kind of personal goals for the season? Have you set anything, put it on a whiteboard, anything of that sort?
I didn't like. I want to say I want to win the defense player of the year. I want to be, one of the D linemen in the race for the Heisman. I want to be doing this and all that stuff. But that's not really. That's never been like. I've never been like a real. Give me a title, give me a championship, or not championship, but give me like an award or something like that type of thing. I'm trying to just go out there and give my best. Everything else will come with it.
When you look at like what you guys did last year, did you feel like you guys could have had an even better season? I mean, a lot of people are excited about 10 wins, but you feel like it could have been better?
Yeah, I'm looking. Like, I watched the three-game span that we lost. I'm watching the games. I'm like, it's kind of upsetting to watch those games because like we made dumb mistakes that those games. Some of those games were close. They shouldn't have been close. Some of those games we lost. We shouldn't have lost any of them. But at the end of the day, they're learning things. Like, you learn more from when you lose than anything else. So that's one of the good things about it.
What was your biggest takeaway from reviewing those 3 games?
It was, honestly, I want to say effort when we're down. At points when we were down, we kind of like, everybody kind of slowed up, and then we'd have a rapid spark, but we can't slow up at all. That little time span when we slowed down was when we kind of got pulled away.
How much were you fighting injuries at different points middle of last year?
It hurt. I've never been like hurt during a season to that extent. So it kind of like took away from my mental for a little bit. But I talked to Coach Novell. Coach Novell was like, "We're gonna take care of you. Like, we're gonna do everything for you. Make sure you're okay." They put me on limited snaps a couple of games, make sure I was okay. But then when I was good, they used me the right way. So I was happy about that.
Did you like Fabo and those guys? Did you guys talk much during the process to decide to come in?
Yeah, I talked to Jamie, Fabo, J-Dub. I talked to J-Trav. I talked to all of them for a little bit. I was like, what are you guys going to do? And they were like all basically saying they were coming back. He said Jamie made it known that he wasn't coming back. And then on Twitter, he's going to post big news coming tomorrow. And I'm thinking he's about to come back and then he's going to play everybody. But I talked to him. It was probably, J-Dub was probably the biggest one that drove me to come back because he kept telling me like what everyone was going to be able to do next year we were bringing in. And I was like, all right, okay. And then at the Cheezer Bowl, I decided it, but I didn't tell anybody. I told Trey didn't believe me.
What have you seen from Trey this offseason coming back after the year he had?
He's been working. He's hungry for it. Like, for a little bit, everybody takes a little break off to relax their body, but Trey was out there in the hot sun working out with me. He'd go out there some days when I wasn't out there. He'd go work. We go to the gym together, get some lifts in. We did the Stairmaster. I hate the Stairmaster. That thing's horrible. But me and Trey have been getting some work. I think he's more hungry this season than he was last season.
You compete with that offensive line day in, day out. What stands out to you about that group, especially some of the new additions?
Those guys will never give up. Like, if you attack their mental, they're going to come right back at you. Like, with the additions of, like, Jeremiah Byers, that guy, first off, that's like the offensive line version of me. He talks that much towards me. Like, he'll lose a rep and then he'll start talking, then he'll beat me and he'll talk even more. And I'm like, bro, like, shut up. Like, now how it feels like when people think I'm talking too much. But they just, like, they work so well together and they just mesh. Like, I love our line.